Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. Doll's House, Nora. By Henrik Ibsen. The debut of the play Doll's House, also known as Nora by its protagonist, drew a lot of attention. A century and a half after its initial performance, the question of Nora's right to leave her husband and children is still being disputed. Today's performance serves as living testimony of the freedom and choice enjoyed by all people. On its trip to Germany, the show made its way to Norway. It elicited reactions such as judgment and rage from the small bourgeoisie who were upset with the ending in which Nora leaves her family wherever it was played. Several times, Ibsen was accused of destroying numerous families because of the play. Ibsen opted to modify the ending by allowing for Nora's decision to change as public pressure intensified. We never know for sure if Nora left the children's room in the final scene because she opens the door when they are sleeping, and we are left to wonder if she ever did. Finally, Ibsen changed his mind and insisted that his play be produced in its original form as he originally planned. To put it another way, Doll's House is a piece of drama. In the course of the play, Nora comes to terms with the fact that she can no longer share a home with her egotistical husband. Nora resolves to depart after 8 years of living as a puppet and caring for her children. She had hoped that her act would rouse her husband, and she had hoped for his support in doing so, but that never happened. Nora's departure unintentionally defends the human right to make a choice. To the audience, Ibsen left it up to them to decide whether or not Nora's behavior was a sign of determination or superficiality. It's a 3-act play that takes place at Torvald Helmer's apartment in Stockholm. It's the Christmas holiday season, so things are a little more hectic. Act 1. Torvald Helmer's promotion to bank director has made Nora Helmer very happy. When he returned from the grocery store, he berated her for overspending and her overindulgence in sweets. Nora's long-lost friend Linda showed up when they got home. To her buddy, Nora confessed that she had saved her husband's life by rescuing him. To cover the cost of his care in Italy, she took on further debt because he was in such bad shape. Despite Linda's pleas, Nora refused to break up with him over the matter. They are soon joined by notary Krogstad and Dr. Rank. Both Nora and Dr. Rank were horrified by the notary's appearance. The doctor labeled him a terrible individual. Torvald accepts Nora's proposal to hire Lind in the next act. As Krogstad returns, Lind has departed with the doctor. He requested that Nora attempt to persuade her husband not to fire him. When Nora refused, he turned the tables on her by threatening to do it anyhow. The money for her husband's treatment came from him, and he assisted her in forging the signature on a debenture of her father. Nora was informed by Torvald that he was planning to terminate the notary's employment because he viewed him as a poor character. Nora's face turned white with fear. Act 2. The second act takes place entirely within the house. No matter how much Nora tries to stop it, her husband remains unmoved. In a letter he sent to Krogstad, he fired him, and Nora was left in a precarious state. In the end, he had only 1 month left to live, according to the doctor. By displaying his love for her, he deterred Nora from taking out a loan from him. The notary appeared with the debentures, threatening to show them all to Torvald if he didn't get his way. Although Nora begged and vowed to find the money to pay him back so that he wouldn't have to show her anything, he was uninterested in money. He aspired to be in a more influential position. Nora declined Miss Lind's offer of assistance because she refused to accept the possibility of a miracle. Nora's distraction of Torvald from the mailbox brings the second act to a close in this episode. Act 3. This one begins with Krogstad and Lind's interaction. He had it in for her because she had rejected his love in the past, but she insisted that they should just move on with their lives and forget about it. As soon as she was able to persuade him that she was sincere, she handed him the letter, and he decided to keep it a secret from Torvald. Torvald walked to the mailbox after Nora and he danced. His life has been ruined, he said as he pulled out the letter and read it. She is no longer allowed to parent the children. A letter indicating that Krogstad had cancelled all of the debentures was delivered by Helena. When Torvald's demeanor began to shift, he requested her to stay with him. It dawned on Nora that she had absolutely nothing to do with a man she had never met before. She divorced her spouse and moved out on her own, abandoning her children. Characters: Nora, Torvald, Krogstad, Dr. Rank, Lind. Nora, the lead character of the play and the hardest to play because she goes from one extreme to another. As a character, she's one of the most endearing I've ever seen. An attempt to connect the character to a complicated person was made by Ibsen. Nora was reared by her father when she was a child, but he indulged her and made her into a pawn in his games. Nora's parents instilled in her a strong sense of morality in her, and she followed suit in her marriage. While Torvald's puppet, She became an expert manipulator thanks in large part to the beauty she possessed, achieving all of her aims. In spite of the fact that she was a mother of 3, she remained a child at heart. She was privileged, but her subsequent actions reflect a different side of her. Because of her debt, she felt she was a victim. Sexy behavior with doctor rank and superficial seduction of her husband proved that she was capable of acting out the part society expected of her, but it didn't negate her awareness of the reality of her predicament. Helmer, he found, couldn't a justification for Nora's behavior. He didn't think she did anything for her family, but he did think she was conceited and spoiled because she didn't do anything. He didn't distinguish between fantasy and reality, and Nora was nothing more than a toy he wanted as long as she did what he said she would. As a result of her departure and determination, he was left incredulous. In the real world, Helmer is an example of a man who likes women for their looks and expects them to fulfill their duties as wives. Even though Nora was a bit spoiled and didn't have much to offer, Helmer didn't treat her like a puppet on a string because of this. A superficial person who did not want to look at the big picture led him to wrongly accuse Nora without giving her an opportunity to explain herself in the end, which made him appear bad. To him, she seemed to be sacrificing her integrity in order to save him. In Helmer's mind, Nora's actions were more important than the opinions of others. It was in the latter half of the 19th century that Henrik Ibsen, a Norwegian dramatic born in 1828, became one of the world's best-known dramaticists. He was active in the 1950s, and he had a special place in his heart for Norway. Early on, he used romanticism and a touch of history in his plays. During the year of 1862, he wrote a modern-day play with the name of Love's Comedy. In the wake of his work's popularity, he traveled to Italy and then Germany. Between 1864 and 1891, he penned the bulk of his work while on the road. Brand and Peer Gynt were his first 2 poetry novels, published in 1866 and 1867, respectively. In his plays, he criticizes society and false values while also portraying his protagonists as individuals who have broken conventional norms. A Doll's House, also known as Nora. Ghosts. The Pretenders, and Pillars of Society are among his best-known works. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.